Everybody sing this song now. But let me tell you, we're a peaceful people, struggling with struggle. I mean, I look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside places, from foreign places, talk about taking over, being backing down. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river. That belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one for us, not a blade of grass. I will love the open country of the roof and honey and the Essequibo, daytime and night. Though we may criticize it, this is the home we love it, and we mean to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river. That belongs to we. Not no one to sake, not one rice bread, not one for us, not a blade of grass, not one golden apple, not one jamun, not a drop of water from the farmer road, not one breadfruit, not one white tea, not one guinea, not one lime tree, not a one sapodilla, not one Carolina, not one sugar cane, or a dry of lime, not one sherriga, not one crackate, not one guinea, not one blue sake, not one rice bread. Venezuela, all you ask, not a blade of grass. This land is our land now. We're gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow, but never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we're moving from here. Make no mistake. So we ain't giving up the mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up the river. That belongs to we. Not the one to sake, not the one rice grain, not one for us, not a blade of grass. Every time we sing this song to our Guyanese audience, a chorus does break out. And here is your chorus to break out. All you're trying to sing. You don't come here to sit down and listen, you come here to sing. 1, 2, 1, 2. No, we ain't giving up no mountain. And we ain't giving up. All right. We ain't giving up no river. That belongs to we. Yeah. Not the one blue sake. Not the one rice grain, not one for us. One more time, not a blade of grass. Let me hear you. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, yes. No, we ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river. That belongs to we, not the one blue sake. No, we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river. That belongs to we. Not the one to sake, not the one rice bread, not one for us, not a blade of grass.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
So this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
All right, hey, guess what? It's 8 minutes after 9 o'clock in beautiful Guyana. It's Friday, and you know what they say, TGIF, right? Thank God it's Friday. That's what we usually say, right? All right, good evening to all of you. Good evening to our soldiers. I was made to understand that some soldiers, they usually watch us every night at the border. So we want to say, look, let's give them a salute, man. Let's just give them a salute to our soldiers. These are the very people that they insulted. They insult these people. They meaning the PPP, Jack Dale and Irfan and all these guys. They insult these folks, man. All manner of things they said to them. They call them hungry belly. They call them this. They call them that. All manner of things they call them. Derogatory names. They have no regards for their loved ones and so forth. None whatsoever. And so because of this situation with Venezuela, guess what, Wayne? They suddenly are nice people. They invite their moms and their wives and so forth to eat little food. You know, it's kind of like reminds me of the Last Supper. But this is not the Last Supper with these guys. It's the disrespectful supper. They have no regards. Good evening to all of you who are now joining us, wherever you are. If you're listening to us somewhere at the border of bordering Venezuela, you're in Essequibo. We just want to remind all of you that Venezuela belongs to all of Guyana, and not a single piece, not even 83 square miles, can ever and would ever go to that madman Maduro. Mr. Caesar, thanks for your service, sir. Your service at 107.1 FM, your service to country. How are you doing, and how do you feel about the sudden importance of these soldiers? But before that, let's get, you've been missing in action for 2 or 3 days. Welcome back. We're glad that you resurrect.
Thank you so much, Mark. And a pleasant good evening to you. And of course, good evening to all our freedom fighters out there, all 6 ethnic groups across Guyana. Good evening all. Well, listen, Mark, the Guyana Defense Force is always important. It should not be now that this installed regime is acknowledging these servicemen and women as being important. You know, they've always been important to Guyana and its people. So it just shows you again, you know, how this government continues to miss the bus. You know, they have no concept, you know, of loyalty to these people. You know, now they're hustling to say that, hey, you know, we're going to give you guys house slots, you know, and or put you to the front of the line. They didn't say give house slots. They said we're going to put you to the front of the line. Mark, when you put me to the front of the line for something, it does not guarantee me getting anything. Okay, Venezuela pulls back. This all goes quiet, and we gone back to business as usual. This is typically this government. I'm not saying anything that is not normal. This is all normal. This is their modus operandi. This is how they operate. So I think, Mark, it's very demeaning, for them to come and make, this frivolous offer to our servicemen and women who risk their lives by going to that border, with this nonsense. I'm sure a lot of the young men and women, they have young children at home and all the different things, and they're risking their lives out there. Where are the people who are lining the pockets with all the revenue that is coming into the country? Where are they? Send sheriff to the border. Send sheriff. Sheriff has more guns than the police force and the army put together. Why are they not at the border with Mohammeds and all of them? All these guys posing off with these big guns. These should be the guys at the border. Not our hard-working, underpaid soldiers, because they are grossly underpaid. They're neglected and they're disrespected. And Mark, I'm going to go there because of the color of their skin. Because of the color of their skin.
Well, all their color of their skin is no different than,
And Mark, I want to say one more thing. The posture that our country is in right now, at the top of the Guyana Defense Force, is so weak. They don't have the testicular fortitude, because the army should take this country over. Guyana is a failed state. Guyana is a failed state.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about army taking any country over, because if the army has bad leadership,
that's what I'm saying. I talk about what's going on at the top. No. Mark, I'm saying all things perfect. I'm saying all things perfect. I'm not talking about Omar Khan.
Right, what we're talking about is a failed government, and that once elections are held, then the people will take the country over by their votes. If there are others who have other intentions, that's their prerogative. But the ballot boxes is where the PPP will be defeated. Continue. But
I believe that Guyana is a failed state. I believe it would not have hurt, Mark, for David Granger just not to remove himself and for them to sanction us. Because the people in Guyana, they're living like if we are sanctioned. They're living in poverty. There's nothing coming their way. 48% dropout rate from school. We need to see a change, Mark. Guyana is always in the negative P. The negative P is poverty. We need to get into the positive P, prosperity. It's about time. It's about time. 23 years straight under the thumb of Jack Dio. Now back for another 3. Same results. We keep recycling the same failures. We got to get away from it, Mark. We got to get away from it. Back over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. A change in 2025. I see some of our folks. Good evening to all of you. Wayne Caesar is fired up, and people are just fed up. And when people are fed up, you could understand that they want a change. My take is we've got to get a change at the ballot boxes. We've just got to get it. And the people have to go out in their numbers and vote these vagabonds out of office. And then we'll get better people in the military, leading the military, better people leading the Guyana Police Force, better people leading agencies across Guyana, ministries and so forth. And that is what we're looking for. And let's just say good evening to all of you who are now joining. I hope you have encouraged your loved ones, and Wayne has been talking about that in terms of ensuring that you are registered to vote. The cutoff date, I believe, was yesterday. You've had a while to ensure that your names are on the list. You don't come on this live complaining about something that you should have done. Please don't do it. I'm not saying anybody is complaining now, But you've got to pay attention. Wayne has been talking about this for a while. Go out there, get registered, check to ensure that your names are on the list. We haven't been hearing much about that. Wayne also talks about, and often Wayne talks about GCOM's commissioner. All three of the commissioners need to come out and have press conferences. You can't just have one, who is Vincent Alexander, occasionally pops out, say something, and then they disappear. People want to see all three commissioners. That is what they're there for. They're getting paid to represent the interest of the opposition. And we want to hear from these guys as often as possible. We want to hear from all three of them as to what's going on at GCOM. Again, not just one who happens to probably thinks that they're the spokesperson for the other two. We need to see all of them in unity speaking at the press conference. Over to you, Wayne Caesar.
Yeah, Mark, I totally agree with you. It would be nice if the GCOM commissioners could host one of the opposition press conferences. It would be very, very nice if those three guys can do that. You know, listen, it's concerning. It doesn't look good. You know, there's people who are already thinking in the back of their heads that there is collusion there and all this type of stuff. You don't want that. You need to come out. You need to be transparent. It is your mandate to the people. You're not doing anything that you're not supposed to do. This is actually your job. And, you know, you need to try your best to execute your duties as flawlessly as you possibly can. You know, and Desmond Trotman and Charles Corbin, you know, these guys can read and write, man. Come on. Hit the Village Voice. Put something out there. Do something. And as I say this, I encourage everyone to continue to support the Village Voice and pick up your copies. You know, hit the Village Voice. It's there. Use it. You know, you have the resources. You know, you could come on Bench Up anytime. I'm inviting you. The CEO is right over there and I'm inviting you. You know, come on. Let your voices be heard. The people want to hear from you. Mark, we know that there's questions with the GCOM apparatus. You know, put people's nerves at rest by coming and, you know, letting us know, you know, whether, you know, biometrics is on the line, you know, it's coming up or what's going to happen. You know, we're getting closer, Mark. We're within 2 years now. Within 2 years of general elections in Guyana. We still don't have a new voters list. I still don't see the fight, Mark. I still don't see the urgency in those three commissioners and the opposition as a holistic unit. I don't see it. You know? And we need to see that, Mark. We need to see that fight. Okay? We need to see that fight. They need to get down on the ground, you know, and let the people know how important, you know, this is. And everybody talking about, oh, protest, you know. Everybody's trying to run away from protest. Mark, it is needed. It is protest that actually allows, you know, democracy to work. Okay? You have to go there and you have to demonstrate your democratic right when you feel like if it is being infringed upon. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wayne Caesar, and good evening to all of you. Now joining, I just read a comment from Colin Barnwell. Good evening to you, Mr. Barnwell. Mr. Barnwell is saying the opposition commissioners are protecting their big paychecks. They made the calculus that they don't want to rock the boat. And you see, that's the problem we have with a lot of folks in Guyana. They just do not want to rock the boat. They are afraid to rock the boat. Oftentimes it's because of a paycheck that's more important. And they feel that if rocking the boat is going to cause them some problems. Now, we have three opposition commissioners at GCOM, Mr. Charles Corbin, Mr. Desmond Trotman, and Mr. Vincent Alexander. We occasionally hear from Mr. Vincent Alexander alone. That is not why we have three opposition commissioners at GCOM. We want to be able to hear from them as often as possible. In other words, just like in cricket, they give ball by ball commentary. We want to get a better understanding what's going on what are they fighting for, and to hold these people at GCOM accountable. That is why those commissioners are there. If many of you would remember, when the PPP, when they were in the opposition, every single week they have 1 or 2 or 3 press conferences by the opposition then, the PPP opposition commissioners. They had Robeson Ben, they had Bibi Shadiq, and they had a lawyer by the name of Gunraj.
Gunraj, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those guys were there at press conferences upon press conferences. They appeared at their parties' press conferences and all manner of things. And they were holding, whether they were right or what, they were just blazing it there at GCOM. We're not seeing it with these 3 guys. I don't know if Mr. Alexander feels as though he's the man and he should just be speaking and that's it and nobody else should speak. I don't know if that's going on. But if that's the case, it needs to just to be curbed, and we need to hear from all of the commissioners. The end of registration process finished yesterday. They should have had a press conference to give us an update as to how that process went. What's really going on? I don't know, but
you know, Mark, to Colin's statement there, they don't want to rock the boat. Well, if you don't want to rock the boat, you got to get out of the boat, because we want people in the boat who's going to rock the boat. The Guyanese people need people in the boat who's going to rock the boat, because they need people who they can count on. They need people who is going to be accountable to them. You understand me? These guys just can't sit there. You see, Mark, this is what I'm talking about. You just can't sit in these positions to receive a paycheck. That is not what you take, the oath for. You take an oath of service. An oath of service to the Guyanese people. Where is that service, Mark?
I noticed
that service?
Mr. Carl Miller, and we're looking at some of the comments from you guys this evening. Again, good evening to all of you who have now joined us for your busy bingo night, which is Friday night. Carl Miller is saying, Mark, it's difficult to hold them corrupt cabals accountable. Nothing, Carl, is difficult. Whether it sticks or not, it's ensured that they keep exposing. We keep exposing them. Pressure, bust, pipe. Remember Crabman? Crabman said pressure, a bust, pipe. We can't just use a situation that they're willing to break the law to get their way, and we've seen it all often. A good example is the Police Service Commission with Paul Slow and Carl. Oh man, also. So because 2 slaves attempted to get away, they got caught. So you're saying all the other, I'm not saying that, I'm just giving an example back when they enslaved our African ancestors. 2 attempted to get away. And because they got caught, the rest must say, we no go no more. Because remember, Wayne got caught and Beverly Crandon Hudson got caught. Me no go no more. No. You've got to keep trying and trying and trying, because pressure, bust, pipe, Mr. Carl Miller. Pressure, bust, pipe. Wayne, what's going on? We heard some good news. Well, to some extent, as Lincoln Lewis said, it's justice served, where the International Court of Justice actually said to those dictators in the Venezuelan government to back off. You cannot do anything that is provocative at this point in time when you have a case that is pending. Wait until the outcome of the case. But what Venezuela is doing, and this is something a lot of people may not be aware of, that Maduro is bullying people in the slums in Venezuela and threatening them that they have to vote in favor of the referendum, or he is going to charge some of them with treason if they don't vote. Lots of people are being threatened right now in Venezuela to vote. And that is where Maduro has to be very careful, because remember, some of his soldiers, them aren't really pleased with him. And I'm not going to say anything else. You know what happened in dictatorships when soldiers are not pleased with you. But what is your take on the ruling, please, Mr. Caesar?
Yeah, Mark, the ruling is right in line. You listen. There's a case that is pending. right? You have to let the system work, right? So you wait until we have a final ruling in that case, and then you make, whatever determination has to be made. But you see, Maduro, he is putting the carriage before the horse, all right? And I am not surprised, because when I look at Maduro and I see his actions, I know that he's not the smartest guy out there or the sharpest tool in the shed. So this doesn't surprise me one bit. Maduro is a flat-footed bully, right? And listen, Guyanese are just not going to stand for that. The real Guyanese, them, the patriotic Guyanese, them, are not going to stand for that. And when I say patriotic Guyanese, Mark, I'm not talking about Dumb and Dumber who went out flying away to Dubai. I'm not talking about Dumb and Dumber. Okay? I'm talking about the normal patriotic Guyanese that is on the ground in Guyana, and the Guyanese that are in our audience tonight. Right? We're not going to stand up and let Maduro come rolling over Guyana. Right? Brazil is not going to stand there and allow Maduro to roll over Guyana. The United States is not going to sit and allow Maduro to roll over Guyana. Okay? Because what he's trying to do in trying to annex Essequibo, it's not legal. It's not legal. We have international laws, and those laws has to be respected. And it is good to see, that the International Court of Justice has taken that posture, because they're saying, hey, we have laws, we have rules, we have regulations, and they must be respected. And I think everyone else, all the large countries, everybody's falling in line. So this is good. Guyana is in a very good position. Those two people are going to come running back into the country and act like if they had something to do with, what's happening. No, they ran away. And this should not be forgotten, Mark. This should not be forgotten that Irfan Ali and Barra Jagdeo flew out of Guyana for Dubai when Guyana was in a time of crisis. This must not be forgotten. Over to you, sir.
Yep, thank you. 29 minutes after 9 o'clock in beautiful Guyana. What Barra Jagdeo and Irfan Ali have done is it basically reminds me of those absentee fathers who are away and whatever circumstances they are away, don't take care of their kids. But as soon as their kids graduate from university or so, they're always there. Oh, that's my boy. That's Wayne. Wayne, I'm by, Michelle, Miguel, Desiree, dame data. Ingrid, dame data. Riri, Mingo, dame data. Carl, they're going to ignore Carl because Carl, nobody going to show up at Carl's graduation. But let's stop picking on Carl. But on a serious note, that's what they do. They run away and they just come back in good times to celebrate. And that's what they're doing. They are going to return to Guyana tomorrow, which is the 2nd of December, and pretend as though they're there to celebrate. I bet you Irfan Ali is going to be down there somewhere in Essequibo, again with his hammock and all these sort of things. People already see right through them, Mr. Caesar. All of our listeners have seen right through them, including PPP supporters who no longer want to support them. Namo, 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 namo. They're not going to vote for them. Namo, namo, namo. And that is a good thing. That is why Barra Jagdeo is clinging on now to the Venezuelans. Since nobody wants to vote for them any longer, the PPP, the majority of PPP supporters said, namo, 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 namo. They're clinging on now to the Venezuelans. But the Venezuelans in Guyana, majority of them are not stupid people. They know exactly what is happening. Many of them have been used, they have been abused, they've been neglected, they've been ill-treated by Maduro administration. And to come to Guyana and to face with the same sort of treatment by someone who is no different than Maduro. Jagdeo and Irfan, they're no different than Maduro. The Venezuelans are not stupid people. Most of them, they're not. And let us not be fooled. They know who is there for them. And Jagdeo and Irfan, the PPP, just want to use the Venezuelans. They're not going to fall for that trick. It's not going to happen. All right. So what is it? What is it that we get? We're looking at James Prasad. James Prasad, it's a black brother. You can see because he seemed very black, dark in complexion. James Prasad is saying here, why the two of you all? Oh gosh, you could tell he has gone to IFLAT University. Why the two of you all don't come to Guyana and help protect the borders? Well, why don't you tell those two Pakus who are now in Dubai, probably hugging up the boy in Dubai, why don't you send them to the border to go and fight? Why don't you go to Bath settlement and round up a couple of them who are misbehaving during the course of elections and tell them to go and fight? Why don't you go and call Azruddin Mohammed and y'all go and fight? Go and fight. Go and fight. It's just sweetness alone you want, James Prasad? And look your face like a real lagu-bagu, telling people what two y'all come and go and fight. You go and fight. Join the army and fight.
Yeah, Mark. Mark, I was just going to say, why don't he take some applications, go through his community, and see how many is willing to sign up for the GDF? And, I wasn't even going to elaborate. I was going to just tell you to just give this guy the donkey and kick him in the trench, man. We don't have time for people like this.
No, but you gotta, this dark skin guy, this black brother, and I'm saying dark skin because, they love to call people black man, and they look at it. Look at the mustache, all kind of thing. Holy smoke. And I like his English though. Why the two of you all? All right, look, it's Friday night, and I agree with you, Wayne. We got to do this. You got to get an award tonight.
Yes, please.
I don't know why this comedy.
You know something also, Mark, James Prasad, when people like that come on the show, they need to talk about the poverty that the children in Guyana is living in. Going to bed hungry, going to school hungry. These are the issues that we need to talk about.
They're not concerned about that.
Who's at the border and all of this kind of stuff. That's what I talk about with these PPPC supporters, a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. These guys are just empty vessels, man. Jack, they need to take some time, get out of the bottom house and try and educate and edify these people. Don't send them on these shows to come and comment and they can't speak proper English, because we're going to be teaching English class all night if this is the case.
You can't expect Jack Dio to educate anyone. Don't do that, Wayne. Jack Dio can't educate. Jack Dio is an uneducated man. You expect Jack Dio to educate someone? Oh, man, don't do that. Don't do that to us. But what else we can talk about? Cost of living is really high. I recall we had a video with a young lady who said cost of living. And let us remind folks that even as we speak this evening, there are lots of people who got paid today, who are lucky to get paid today. They're afraid to go into the markets because look, all these items prices just gone sky high, and even with $25,000-$30,000 can barely buy anything to last a family for 5 days. It just cannot happen. Cost of living is very, very high in Guyana, and the economy isn't getting any better. Unemployment is very high. Cost of living is high. People's blood pressure high, malnutrition is high under a corrupt PPP regime.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
And a Friday man. When you speak to folks back in Guyana, what's the vibe you're getting from them as it pertains to not just being fed up, but the cost of living? And a lot of these folks, some of them are single moms. They have to send their kids to school. They have to provide for them. In the case of the quarantine, the PPP, when they got installed, it took all the free buses away for students, forcing parents now to have to pay thousands upon thousands of dollars every month just to send their kids to school. What are some of the things you're hearing from folks on the ground in Guyana?
Mark, it's a complete struggle in Guyana. And if we would go across Guyana, and evaluate a lot of the mothers, we would find that these women, they have to think so hard, they have to go to market, they have to be so careful with their spending. The money's got to stretch so long. People in Guyana are really punishing, and it's affecting them from a lot of perspectives, including mental health. It's hard when, you go to bed at night and you don't know what's going to happen the next day, how you're going to be able to provide for your family, what you're going to be able to put on the table the next day. And we're talking about basic, normal families here, much less when we think about our pensioners also, who has a very, very small amount of money. The pension is so small to work with for an entire month. Mark, this is not right. When you have a government who is going into the natural resource fund like if it's out of style, when you have service that is coming from GPL, GWI, and all these different agencies that is, so inadequate. The raises for our teachers, our nurses, our policemen, our army service people, inadequate raises. Nothing, Mark, is trickling to the people. Everything is just lining the pockets of the PPPC and their inner circle. And this is exactly what has to stop. You have people who have mortgages and all these type of things that they can't even afford. It's Christmas time. And Guyanese are sad and struggling. It's Christmas time in an oil-producing nation. And look at our people in poverty. And these guys are flying out to Dubai when we're in crisis with Venezuela. And Barry Jagdeo holds these weekly press conferences and never addresses poverty in the country that he would have had his thumb on, Mark, for 23 plus 3 years. And these PPP supporters, come on, Dr. Barry Jagdeo, are you really kidding me, man? Are you really kidding me? Really, Mark? Mark, with what's coming into Guyana right now, you give me Guyana for 4 years and you'll see a completely different country. We have under 1 million people. This is an easy lift. I don't care how you twist and turn. It's an easy lift. It's corruption, Mark. It's corruption. It's greed. And it's hate. Barry Jagdeo don't want to see the people of Guyana well off. He doesn't want to see them with happy faces. Mark, when the PPPC took power, I said it, that they're going to oppress, they're going to marginalize, they're going to starve Guyanese people, that when they come into communities, they're going to expect the people to fall to their knees. And I have to commend the Guyanese people because they have not fallen to their knees to this government, this installed government. And you guys need to continue to stand strong. The time is short. PPPC, your time will be up. Your time will be up come 2025. And the people of Guyana, do not get amnesia. Don't get short-term memory. These people must never return to power. Never. This has been, Mark, a total disaster. Mark, listen, I have to go a little bit here. Barry Jagdeo come on these press conference and talk all the things that he talk, and try to put down the honorable and great late Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. Jagdeo, you can't even wear his slippers. He wouldn't even allow you to put on his socks. Let me tell you something, Mark. Chedi Jagan, Dr. Chedi Jagan, and Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, Those guys are rolling in their coffin so much that both of them got a whole lot of bungies right now. With the way the PPPC has Guyana. We got to remember this. This is a country that had technical institutes right across it. Textile mill, biscuit factory. We used to build tapirs here, can orange juice. Well, we had the milk place, Litco, you know. Hey, look, I've spoken to patriots out of Guyana, experts out of Guyana who remember those days. So PPPC, you guys are talking nonsense. Guyanese never used to go hungry, Mark. The government used to subsidize the farmers too. Where are the farmers being subsidized, Mark? That's why the farmers don't have much to bring to market. That's why Guyanese continue to live in poverty. Remember, we're extracting oil now. Our ecosystem is changing. You understand me? We have to make the necessary adjustments. Maybe we may have to do a little more importation of food. But listen, this government is not smart enough, Mark, to understand these things. The people that are sitting in government, Mark, is flat out not smart enough. That's why we're getting, raped when it comes to the oil sector. We are so far behind, Mark. We knew that we would have been extracting oil. Shouldn't we, a few years in advance, send out a team of petroleum scientists or a team of individuals to be trained as petroleum scientists before we got this all started? It was poor planning, Mark. The contract was poor. We could have walked off the street and negotiated a better contract than what is sitting there currently. We could have negotiated a contract, Mark, that would have had ExxonMobil employing at least 60% of their employees would have been 60 or more percent of their employees would have been Guyanese, trained Guyanese. Instead of that, we just settle for whatever they give to us because we were so excited. Over to you, sir. Shameful.
Thank you so much. It's 43 minutes after 9 o'clock. My job tonight is just to give the time signal. And back to Mr. Caesar, who's on fire tonight. Wayne has a point when he said that, because since in the mid-90s, well, a long time now, we knew that the country is rich with oil. A long, long time ago. Even under the PNC, a long, long time ago. But we just didn't have, as a country, the required equipment and resources to help to drill the oil on our own. And so Burnham knew that there was oil there. Nobody can say that, Burnham didn't know. President Burnham or Hoyt and so forth, they knew. And so in the mid-90s, there was this deal signed by Janet Jagan and these oil companies. The deal was signed since back then, but it wasn't finalized in terms of an official signing of the contract. Now, to Wayne's point, if for over 2 decades we knew that there was oil in Guyana, then you have to prepare your citizens. In the eventuality that we start drilling, then you will have qualified and people who have the necessary qualifications to be hired. Now, after the start of the drilling of the oil, that is when you saw a couple of the PPP guys like Ramson Jr. Runway, you do an oil course. You thought that he was the biggest oil expert. After just a couple months of a quick course, and then, presenting himself in the Kaitor News as an oil expert. And we are just not prepared. And the fact that we are not prepared, Exxon is bringing in all these expatriates and they're being paid millions upon millions of dollars every single month, while the Guyanese workers are being paid crumbs. They either got to help carry food or they got to help bail water off of the ship, the vessels, or they got to just act as security guards. That's just what's going on. So our people are not they're not properly paid at all because they're caught unprepared because of a regime that didn't have the vision, the PPP that never had the vision to prepare the Guyanese people for this. And so we got to settle for, as they say on the quarantine, go down. Over to you, sir.
And you know, Mark, when you say the Guyanese people have to settle for these little jobs, this is not going to be short term. It's going to be long term in nature. Because why I say this, you know, there's not a growth factor. When you're stuck on these ships serving and you know, doing all these different things, mopping floors, cleaning rooms and these type of things, there is no area for growth. You know, you're on an oil vessel. You want to get into oil and gas. Mark, there should have been 2 institutes open, you understand me, just to train individuals in the oil and gas industry. The young men who are working, young men and women, because women are just as capable. To the women watching the program, I apologize. Women are just as capable. To the young men and women who are in the sugar industry, Mark, we know that sugar is going away. Here is an opportunity to pull the young ones, not the older folks. Let the older folks continue doing what they're doing. The younger ones, and you could have moved them in, and you could have trained them, you could have teach them, you could have bring them along. We have a lot of people, Mark, sitting on the streets doing nothing. Okay? You promised as part of your mandate.
We have a lot of people in Parliament sitting doing nothing. But continue. Sorry, sir.
I will not object to that statement. I actually support that statement 100%. I support that. There's nothing being done in our parliament, and I'm going to elaborate on that before this show ends. But there's a lot of people, Mark, that are sitting out there, you know, without jobs. Remember, the PPPC, as part of their mandate, promised, Mark, 50,000 jobs. Here is an opportunity. Our schools are not being properly cleaned. There's a whole lot that is not happening in Guyana that you can spread out and you can give jobs and you can use the oil monies and you can try to subsidize. You wouldn't have to use too much. It's a lot of money. When you talk about pulling in about 15 to 17 million US a day as a government, that's a lot of money. You should not be borrowing any money externally outside of the natural resource fund. And I feel like if the PPPC is borrowing way too much, and when these monies are being borrowed also, we're not seeing where the monies are going. It is quite concerning that we have these large budgets, largest budgets ever across so many of the sectors, but I am not seeing where the monies are being allocated. The Public Accounts Committee, Mark, needs to start meeting. Jermaine Figueroa, man, you guys need to get on this. We need transparency, because if we don't get transparency, we are going to start believing that there is collusion, and we will spare no one. No one will be spared. You know, Mark, I'm going to say this. These guys that sits in these ministries and sits in these seats, opposition seats, you know, for some reason, they think that they are the most knowledgeable individuals. I think some of them really, really need to sit down and examine and take a very good look at themselves. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. 50 minutes after 9 o'clock. Don't forget, Wayne Caesar is going to be on tomorrow afternoon, 5 o'clock. I repeat, Wayne Caesar will be on tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock with over to you, right, Wayne?
Yes. And one of the topics that I will be addressing is housing. That will be one of my topics. Yes, I got it. Yeah. I got a few stories.
And 4 o'clock, it'll be the Law and You with Miss Shalon Washington. And you know, Mr. Caesar, and I want all of you guys listen carefully in the audience, Tony Hack. You know, Tony Hack likes to disrupt the classroom sometimes. Tony Hack and others, when I heard, or when the news came that we have oil now and we'll be producing oil, the PPP thought that we got a lot of oil experts in Guyana. And this is a true story because they went out under quarantine and other places recruiting people for oil. But after they got an ExxonMobil got in and said, well, look, we need oil experts. They presented Ram and Ramroop and Sita and so forth as oil experts. Come to find out, the people had knowledge in terms of grating coconut and making coconut oil. And so after they realized that they need experts in actual oil and not coconut oil, that is when they sent Ramson Jr. quickly. They sent Ramson Jr. for some quick little paper. But the point that I'm making, and again, I want to stress that you made a valid point about being prepared for this oil economy. We are not prepared at all. We had our own oil economy, especially on the quarantine. Everybody pick coconut, they get grated, and you put it to make coconut oil, and you set it, and then you ring it. And once you ring it, and you get your oil and thing, and you go Port Morant Market or Rosal Market, and you sell your oil, and you get your chanchi. You could feed the pigs with the coconut ox and so forth and so on. That's a different oil. A lot of us are experts at that. But this oil industry is different. And it's unfortunate that our people are not benefiting from that. No one has to punish the way Guyanese are punishing in that country. And oftentimes, I'll tell you the truth, it breaks my heart because we have a bunch of corrupt vagabonds like Irfan Ali, Bara Jagdeo, and you look at the rest who are heading ministries. All the ministries are corrupt because all of them are basically hustlers. They're just there for themselves. Over to you.
And the thing that I love, Mark, is that a lot of these guys invest and they have buildings and they got all this stuff. I tell you, man, I would have a field day, doing audits on these guys. I am surprised that, accountants like Christopher Ram and these guys have not came out and say anything. Because to be working, Mark, on a government salary and owning all these assets, man, it is quiet concerning, man. Quiet concerning. And I would like to have a shot at these guys to turn them upside down and shake their pockets, man. I really would like to have a shot at them. Because I know...
Don't ever threaten Bara Jagdeo to turn him upside down and shake his pocket.
Oh, well, Mark, I'm doing that right here. I'm doing that right here. I would even challenge Bara Jagdeo to debate anytime.
No, but if you challenge him to turn him upside down
anytime, any place.
He might
anytime, any place.
No, but the point I'm making, do not challenge him to do that at all. He might say, come on.
If you just know you're that girl,
Yeah.
you just have no choice but to be that girl. And I feel like I'm that girl.
Don't ever. But on a serious note, these guys have to be held accountable. A lot of them are corrupt. And there's no way. You mentioned earlier, Mr. Caesar, the 50,000 jobs. 50,000 jobs for what? Just sit down in people's hammock and pull out gray hair from the beard, pull out gray hair from the head. How many of you guys have done that? When you're little boys and girls, the older guys used to just take guys and pass you. You got to get a tweezer and pull out gray hair. Is that the kind of jobs that they're talking about? Conductor, bus conductor, is that the kind of jobs that they're talking about? People are yet to see the 50,000 jobs that Jagdeo and these guys are talking about. Go to Linden. Ask majority of the young people, do you work? No, there's no job. Where are they going to work? Go into the interior, where they're working with some gold miners who are robbing them. Their families can't see them for months. They're cutting lumber for the Chinese companies and they're not being paid properly. Then they go to work to Rusal, the bauxite industry. It's like a plantation. You cannot go into certain areas. I have visited that particular area and was told by some of the workers there, you can't go there. There's big man the place. Workers cannot go past certain point. You're not welcome there. Workers are being ill-treated. They're being gun-butted. They're being chased off the premises. All manner of things. These things are happening in Guyana, and nobody's exposing them. The PPP loves that, but yet they're talking about 50,000 jobs. Where? Where is the job? Up in the quarantine, you say, Where's it? Up in your nose hole, Bengala? Is that where the jobs are? The jobs are up in Jagdale's nose hole, Bengala? Where are those jobs? Part-time jobs, 10 hours workers? Is that job? Is that how you're going to develop a country? Is that how the economy is going to have any progress? These people are a bunch of losers, Wayne. But Wayne, over to you.
No, and Mark, you're correct. The part-time job is to the Guyanese teenagers. They should be, getting off school, and to the extent they're doing well in school, have the opportunity to hold on a little part-time job and get a few dollars to put in their pockets. That should be the case there. But Mark, again, the thing I really wanted to touch on, is Parliament and going to Parliament. The PPPC and the opposition has been going to Parliament for 3 years now. And from what I'm seeing, they have accomplished absolutely nothing. Nothing gets done in Parliament in a sovereign nation. Instead of that, the PPPC force runs off to the United States to get their instructions. And then the opposition runs off right behind them to receive their instructions. This nonsense, Mark, has got to stop. Guyana is an independent and sovereign nation. Why is it that we are not getting anything done in Parliament? This is ridiculous and not acceptable. It is totally ridiculous and not acceptable, Mark. You're not serving the people. You are not serving the people. When you finish, you're taking taxpayers' dollars and just running out to the United. They have no respect for the Guyanese people. None at all. And these are the things that need to stop. And these are the matters that people need to vote to. You have two parties sitting there. Well, I know it's more than two parties, but two large parties that are sitting there in Parliament. We should see some work being done. We should see some legislation being passed. These guys are lawmakers, essentially. What have they done? What have they done, Mark, to date? Every time they go to Parliament, the PPPC end up going into the Natural Resource Fund. That is all that's been happening in Parliament. Nothing else. We have a 43% dropout rate. Has anybody tabled that? Has anyone tried to address that? You guys must be the quote-unquote smartest guys in the country. What about the future, Mark? Our youths are the future. Therefore, we need to educate them. 94.4 billion budgeted for education. Show me the allocations. Were there any allocations in Madhya? Maybe if we had a big allocation in Madhya, maybe we could have saved those 20 students. This is ridiculous, Mark. This is total lack of accountability. This is lawlessness. Okay? It's a lot of lawlessness. We got a government sitting in place, paying Mercury to do their bidding in Washington, while our pensioners are punishing in Guyana. $33,000, $35,000, whatever the pension is in Guyana, for an entire month.
Let's do the breakdown on that, Mr. Caesar. $33,000 a month, pensioners. $5,000 or $6,000 or maybe $10,000 on GPL bill. Then you have their GT&T, about another $4,000 or $5,000. That's $15,000. Then you get another $15,000 remain. $5,000 out of that is done on transportation, and then they're left with $10,000. They have other bills to pay out of that $10,000, and then they have $2,000 left to eat. So what are they going to eat? They're going to go to the market. They're going to buy $200 guinea because guinea price gone up. They're going to buy some salt. They're going to buy some green mangoes and sit, cut it, and eat. That is what people are faced with in Guyana. It's not a laughing matter. $33,000 a month is absolutely nothing. It's just about $150 US per month. Who can survive on $150 US? Can you take that $150 US and give it to Jagdeer and ask ask him to survive on that? He is not going to survive on that. Irfan Ali would eat out $150 worth of food in less than 5 minutes. But this is what they want ordinary Guyanese people to do, to survive on nothing, on little, very little. That is how they're running the country. And remember, they were in office for 23 years. They have destroyed a generation. Young people, destroyed them from, they have made them into basically, give a smile, peace, no? Bless you by up with a smile, peace, no? Bless you by up with a smile, peace, no? Hey, Mark, what buddy? Hey, Mark, bless you by up with a smile. That was the going thing, and this is not to insult those young people, but that was the going thing at that point in time under the PPP regime. Man, bless you by up, no man. Man, bless you by up with something, no man. That was it. They weren't concerned about sending those kids to school. They took away free education at the university level, free tuition. They weren't concerned, so they destroyed this generation. And they want to do it again by just giving them 10 hours a week and all these manner of things, give them 20,000 cash grants, those who are lucky to get it. That's not how you develop a country. Shame on these PPP vagabonds. Concerning Parliament now, those parliamentarians, we understand those in the opposition, even when they table a good bill, they cannot pass because you have a Paku like Manzoor Nadir sits there as the Speaker of the National Assembly, and everything is for the PPP, the corrupt PPP, every single thing. The only thing that the opposition MPs get done there without a hassle is eat a nice meal of food and they gone. And this is not to insult them that they go there to eat. I'm sure most of them don't go there to eat. I'm almost certain that that's not the case. But when you have a country, when they have parliament, sitting in parliament, it's unfair that people right there at Stabrook Market area, the guys at Demico House who walk around and shaking the thing inside a little jar, I'm not sure if you know what that is, and the vendors, they got to smell the good food, the rich food coming out of parliament, while the poor ordinary people sit there eating a little puri with sour, eating little bar or pulori with little sour, and the big boys them in parliament eating lavishly. It's unfair. We need to change it. How are we going to change these things, Mr. Caesar? Come, whether 2025 or not, in the next general elections, folks have to go out in their numbers, regardless of what. If you get one-side slippers, go and vote the PPP out of office. They are no good for Guyana. There's no future for Guyana under the PPP regime. Over to you.
Mark, you're so right. And I encourage the people to do this and do this without fear. Do this without fear, because we understand that there are 6 ethnic groups in Guyana, and we're going to make sure that the incoming government is a government for all. Okay? We know our motto. Our motto is one people. One people meaning everyone, all 6 ethnic groups. One nation, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. One destiny, yes, we all going to live in love, we're going to live in happiness, and we're going to live also in prosperity. That's what I'm looking for my country called Guyana. People living in love and living in prosperity. Mark, it's been a very, very, very long run of mediocrity in Guyana. It's time. It's time that the Guyanese people see some positive change in our great country. You remember, Mark, the talk on Guyana was that it's the breadbasket of the Caribbean. I believe, Mark, that it still is. But you know what? It is being totally mismanaged by an incompetent installed regime that just consists of a hierarchy of dunces. Yes, because they look good decisions in the face and make bad ones. They look their own people in the face, turn their backs on them, Mark, and become transactional in nature. You cannot be a transactional government when it is the people of Guyana who goes out there and vote, although this government wasn't voting there. I know that for sure. Statistics tell us that this government was not voted into power, Mark. They were installed. Okay? And to all who assist in installing this government, look what you've done to the people of Guyana. The government has done absolutely nothing for the people of Guyana. Mark, it is sad. It is Christmas. I'm upset. I'm very, very upset. You know, because if parents can't even afford to put something on the table for their children, there's a lot of young children that's going to go without a little toy. You know, I grew up in a little bit of Forbes Barnum time, and we always had toys, and I'm sure it's the same thing for you. You know, and this is saddening. It's really saddening, you know, to watch our teachers, watch our nurses. Our nurses work very hard, Mark, very, very hard, because they're outnumbered. The ratio with the patients. One nurse sometimes have 10 patients, you know, and the further up the coastline you go out of Georgetown, it gets worse because you have less resources available. You know, I feel like if our public health institutions right now are being sabotaged, so what? We can privatize the industry with Sheriff and Woodlands and Balwat Singh and all these different hospitals, that when you show up there with your loved ones and you don't have it, they will not be seen. We cannot allow this. Guyanese, you cannot allow this. There is way too many issues out there, Mark, for this government to ever see the light of day remaining in power in Guyana. The PPPC must go, and they must go quickly. Their time is up. Barry Jagdeo, that's it, man. That's it. You go put that thumb somewhere else. I'm not going to tell you where to put it. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you so much, Wayne. It's 9 minutes after 10 o'clock in beautiful Guyana. And we just want to say thank you to all of our listeners all across Guyana. Beautiful Guyana, all 83,000 square miles. All 83,000 square miles belong to
Thank
Guyana.
you for your clarity there, sir.
And we just want to, encourage you guys not to give up, not to lose hope. Don't be afraid of what's his name, Maduro. Don't look in the direction of Jagdeo and Irfan. They're two losers. They're covetous. They're greedy men, who do not care anything about Guyana. And so we've got to look in another direction. We really have to look in another direction. And this is where the leadership of the opposition, those guys have to get their acts together. And this is not a fashion show. I oftentimes say it, and I mean it. It's not a fashion show. It's not a talk pot. It is doing actual work on the ground. Politics is not a fashion show. You've got to do your work on the ground. People know when people are being pretentious. People, ordinary folks, are not fools. They are tired of pretentious leaders. It's not going to happen again. I noticed Miss Booker is saying that Mark is falling asleep. That is not true. I'm just fed up with those vagabonds in Guyana, those corrupt PPP guys, Jagdeo and Irfan and all of them. I know, Wayne, you have your show tomorrow. It's called Over to You, 5 o'clock right here on 107.1 FM. I've got to go. But before we do, though, Mr. Caesar, your brief closing remarks, please, sir, as you give some sort of hope to the people. Leave them with that, please. Thank you.
Yes. Mark, Guyana is a blessed nation. God blessed us all with the nation Guyana. And he blessed us with all the resources that our country has that are available to us. Moving forward, we need to all work, in accordance. We need to make sure that come 2025, we are voting to the issues. Our country needs to be managed better. Right now, Guyana is being mismanaged. It is upon all of us, every citizen who has the right to vote and have the democratic right to make his or her voice heard. It is upon you to examine the evidence that we present to you here night after night and make that determination. I am not going to sit here and force anybody's hands. I know from the history of Guyanese people, they've always been a very, very smart people. And they are still smart, although free education at the university level has been taken away from them, which is totally against our constitution. And I thought, it was a move by Barajagio to, have an illiterate people, because when you have a people who are illiterate, they're easy to control. But Guyanese, it has been 23 plus 3 years for this PPPC regime. And you guys see what they have done. Look at their body of work. Just look at the last 3 year sample that they would have given you. And you can see that they have done nothing for the regular Guyanese citizen. So be encouraged. Be encouraged. Go out there and let your voices be heard with your vote when the time is right. And Mark, I want to caution Guyanese on one thing. Based on what's been happening with the Guyana Elections Commission and based on the skullduggery that the PPPC typically perpetrates. When that time comes to vote, whether it's in 2024 or 2025, and you vote, don't go home after. Hang out. All of you guys, just hang out. It is necessary. They're going to have people, Mark, who's going to show up at polling stations and try to do what they did during the local government elections. But we will be on the front foot. We will be watching. Guyanese, be encouraged. Change is coming, and it is coming soon. Thank you very much for having me, Mark. Yeah. And, a pleasant
Thank you
good evening.
so much. Appreciate your time as well. And thanks to all of our listeners also. I know it's Friday evening. You guys have a beautiful and safe rest of the night. And Wayne Caesar has his show tomorrow called Over to You, 5 o'clock. And if there's any other breaking news story, we'll bring it to you right here on 107.1 FM. God bless you all. Have a good night, guys. Thank you, Mr. Caesar.
Thank you, Mark. Good night, everyone.
Yep.
Not a blade of grass. We love the open country. The Roman way. The secret book. The time of night. We make it precisely. This is a home we love. And we need to keep it. We have that right. No, we ain't giving up no money. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no
We are one people, one nation, one destiny.
We are a peaceful people, struggling we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces, from foreign places, talk about taking over, we backing down. No, we ain't giving up no mountain. And we ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river. That belongs to we. Still no home, we love it. And we mean to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river. That belongs to we. Not no one to sake. Not one rice bread. Not one for us. Not a blade of grass. Not one golden apple. Not one jamun. Not a drop of water from the Pomeroon. Not one breadfruit. Not one white tea. Not one guinea. Not one lime tree. Not a one sapodilla. Not one Caroline. Not one sugar cane. Or a dry of lime. Not one sherriga. Not one crackate. Not one guinea. Not one tusaki. Not one rice bread. That is really all you ask. Not a blade of grass.
Yes, my name is Jasnity Kaldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.
So, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.